Hi, so I am going to show a little bit of the research because I've been asked about it a lot of times into my ancestry. Now, what I have on the screen here that I'm documenting with this video is just one sliver of my ancestry down one particular line through my grandmother. So I just wanted to document this family tree. Starts with me, and I haven't filled out all of my own information, but I ended up just down through one section of it at the Anunnaki gods. So it goes all the way back to way BC, like several thousand years BC, as best I can tell, and literally goes back to Enki on, and so on and so forth. So I'll just document this part first. Really, when you're looking through these things, it can be so complex that it can just take on a life of its own. And then the screen reset and gave me this. So this isn't exactly what I was trying to show you. But I might as well do this while I'm here. I've traced several of my ancestral lines back to various different pantheons of what is known as gods. And of course, they always get to that point and then say, well, this wasn't necessarily a historical figure. It's, they say they're mythological figures. But obviously, if you've traced directly your ancestors all the way back to beings that literally they're said to come from, and then they say, oh, but they weren't real, then you say, oh, there's nothing after that. Well, then where did they come from? So yesterday I traced this one particular family line from my grandmother all the way back through, and it's one that I hadn't actually followed out before because I didn't have the opportunity. There's just so much to this. But I traced it all the way back to Noah and Enoch and Enlil and Ninhursag, and then through also Noah's grandson, through Enoch, back to On, and before that. So I'm just trying to document this in the best way that I can. I'm trying to document this in the best way that I can because it's really, really involved to try to explain to people how you can possibly find these things. But you can. And this is through a really well-known source. It's a church resource, not a church that I'm affiliated with, but it's one everybody suggested. When I started to tell people, this is what my ancestry is, they basically doubted me, and always they would be like, well, you should look here to make sure. Well, I'm looking the here that they suggested, and I've found even more. So, also back to the first kings of Scotland, the very first Stewart king. I mean, and way before that. Kings of the Huns, several kings of the Huns, Valois, Anjou. I'm not French in this lifetime, so my pronunciations will definitely be not what you might hope. I mean, there are emperors and kings and, okay, right there, Attila the Hun. Now this does look like it's kept. Okay, so let me go back here. This did keep what I had researched. It jumped around and it made it look different, but this is the same line. It just kind of put it in a different format. Charlemagne is in this, which a lot of people are descendants of Charlemagne, so I know that's fairly common from what I understand, so I'm just saying it's in here. Charles, I think they also call him the Bald. He was a king of France, and let's see. Fitzalan, which I had said before, the first High Steward of Scotland, which is what they were before they were kings. And so I have that down several lines because I found that down another one. Another Fitzalan. The third High Steward of Scotland, which steward is where the word Stewart comes from. Robert de Bruce. If I'm mispronouncing these, forgive me because, you know, obviously I don't necessarily speak the same languages as these people. In fact, I definitely don't. Okay. Another king. Stewart. Fifth High Steward of Scotland. Sir Walter Stewart. King Robert Stewart. I think King Robert was the first actual. If I click it, it's going to make this jump around, so I'm not going to click it, but I think he was the first actual king of Scotland. This is also the family, I believe that's the clan that Donald Trump is descended from in Scotland. There's another Stewart. I mean, there's so many names here, it would take me forever to go through all of them, but I went down this particular line of inquiry. Okay, so now I'm going to go back this way because I want to show the end. Malcolm, King of Scotland. See, I could spend all day looking at these because I find it fascinating. And again, that doesn't mean I agree with everything that all of my ancestors did. Of course, I do not. But it's really fascinating to be able to find something like this that's actually recorded and to be able to look at it and say, wow, like, first of all, you know that the things that you're told, because there's a lot of people that say, like, our history is not real. Now, yes, a lot of our history has been written by the victors, which means things have been left out and switched and changed and twisted and distorted. But there are actually people that are trying to say that like several hundred years of our history just is completely, like, completely false. Like that they put this whole block of stuff in there that's not. I'm showing you right here that's not true. There's a lot of conspiracy that's true. There's a lot of things about history that we've been told are not true. But there are things that you can, you know, go back and verify. Maybe not everyone can do this or knows how to do this. So this is a particular avenue that I'm going down to try to find these things for myself. So, this shows an unbroken line of people through a source that everybody recommended to me to go ahead and look at, all the way back to the very beginning. And then when you look, and if you click on these individual things, it'll pop a little window up over here, which if there's things recorded about the people, it will show you, it will tell you a little bit more about the life that they lived and what their different titles were and what they were known as in different places. So you can actually learn a lot. There's Valois again. You can learn quite a lot by doing this. Just interesting things that you wouldn't know of otherwise. And I think with the way that people have been misled, led away from their cultures, and understandably some people have had their cultures like completely taken from them. So I get that. And I'm sure some of that has happened in my ancestry as well, because our ancestors go way, way back. But if you can find some of this and try to help people put some of this stuff together, then I find that it's helpful. And if you can know where you come from, then you can look at what's going on in the world right now and say, you know what, I don't really buy that. I'm not buying what you're selling. I'm not buying what you're selling because I know that there's more to the world than this little thing that you're showing me here on the TV or here in this video or here in this little news report of whatever. The world has gone on for a very long time. History is a very long story. And right here, you can learn about part of it. And it makes it much more difficult to control people if they understand that they are connected to things that, have value or history or are rooted in something. De Orleans. Again, some of these I definitely found in other branches. That's going to be a king. I think... Oh, that's Charlemagne. That's Charlemagne. He had several different names. That's Charlemagne right there. De Orleans. And I'm certainly skipping over things that are really interesting. Now see, now here, this one probably doesn't go as far out. I don't know. I may not have gone down that one. This takes hours to like read through these people and see who you're looking at. So that might be Charlemagne. One of these two is Charlemagne because he had a different name. So it's either that one or that one. One of them is Charlemagne. And again, depending on where you're looking, these people were recorded in different languages from different regions. So they might be known, like if you're trying to look up your own ancestry, they might be known as one thing in one region or one country, and something like have a different title or a different name or completely different sounding name in another culture altogether, and be the same person. So people have said to me, well, how do you do that? When I did it before, which I'm probably going to have to do some more, is you have to start to figure those things out. So if you hit, like, say, a dead end, where maybe if you got to a place like this and then there wasn't this arrow here and you couldn't go any further, you could look more into what are other names that person might be known as, and then look for records that way. So, I mean, and again, if you don't want to fool yourself, you want to make sure that you're, doing it with, with some ethics or integrity, because it's only going to be you that has a false history of yourself if you don't. And so, like, I knew a few things about my ancestry, but I did not know all of the things that I found. And I feel like my grandmother knew a lot of it, but I don't even think she knew it all. And she told me quite a lot of things, but I literally had no idea. And I know most of my family, they have no clue. They have no clue. And so a couple times going down through here, I thought, I don't know, it's getting pretty narrow. I don't know if it's going to go any further. And then it did. Well, for the sake of expediency, I'm going to go down through here a little bit quicker. Now see, there's all this stuff that looks interesting. I don't have time to look at every single one of them right this minute. To do something like this is a really long, deep dive, and it takes a lot of time. So, okay, we have a King of the Huns right here. It would help if I knew what some of these words were, which I don't. So that's one of the things that you learn while you're doing this. You learn things. So Atila the Hun, we're back there. And again, the year here is, oh, we're back past that. Well, we're BC here, I think, because when I did it yesterday, the years are on these up until a certain point. Why is somebody texting me? It must be my sister answering me back because I was telling her about this. We're back in the BC range right here. I think somewhere around where the Huns came into this line. Maybe because I'm looking at it so small, so zoomed out right now that it's not showing me the dates. But at some point the dates stop and you just get these codes. And that's just the identifier for the website. But I'm not seeing the dates. But it does go back to, I think the last date I saw was 800 BC. No, 1500 BC. And so after 1500 BC, it kept on going. And then we're back where the gods, I'm doing air quotes on the gods. I'm not trying to be controversial, but the Anunnaki gods are listed. Okay, so another King of the Huns. I don't know if that name, that word right there means king or not. I don't know what that means, but I see it a lot, so I'm curious. I'm going to have to look it up. Because I don't know. There's a whole lot I don't know. And you won't probably hear me say that a lot of times, so. Another King of the Huns. I assume that's a queen. And again, another thing is, like, a lot of these cultures, they may not have had what you actually know as a queen or a king in some cultures. Like, there was one that was listed as being a druid king, and druids, as far as I understand, didn't actually have what you call a king, but they had leaders. So the one ancestor that I have is listed as a druid king, but I would wonder, was it actually what we consider a king, or was it a leader of a tribe? How exactly does that work? It's different in all the different cultures, but a lot of the people are notable and you'll know who they are. Because if they're recorded back this far, somebody cared to write them down and had the ability to. And that's the thing, like, a lot of people, even in my own, there's branches that go off that you can't find anything about those people, and it's usually the women. The maternal lines usually are far less easy to record. or easy to track down because they weren't recorded. But when you're doing this, you know, it helps if you're descended from people that are notable, obviously, because those are the people that were recorded, which might seem unfair, and I agree that's not cool, because like a lot of people, they won't ever know who their ancestors were in this kind of way because they weren't recorded. I have ancestors like that, obviously, too. But I'm really, 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 really fortunate in that I was able to find that a lot of them are recorded. See, I don't know very much about the Huns because it's not an area of history I ever focused on. It just, I don't know, you only have so much time in your life and you can only focus on so many things, right? So, like, it's not something that I'm super familiar with. My sister knows a lot more about the Huns than I do. There's your confirmation, because that's probably her. She didn't have any idea we were descended from the Huns. Within the last 36 hours or so, I found out that we have two kinds of Jewish and Asian in our ancestry, so I didn't know that. I did not know that. I have traced some lines back to the Tuatha De Danann, which is the Celtic gods, down back to Lu, the sun god, which again, they say is not a real historical figure, but obviously he must have been because, gee, our people came from there. And also Odin and Freya, so I can't remember which consort of Lu. I can't remember who it was with Lu, but with Odin, it was Odin and Freya. So I found both of them, and I also traced back to the Merovingian kings, two of them, and they supposedly came from a sea creature, so there's all sorts of fun things. The Huns, or the people that the Huns came from, they went way, 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 way back. Oh, I got a couple more minutes here. This Frau business, that I think is Austrian as far as I know, and I don't know, but I keep seeing that here, so it's another thing I'll have to look into, and I'm sure somebody that's watching this is probably going to giggle at some of the things I'm saying, but that's okay, because I just don't know all these things. Try and get this done all in one thing here. Noah. There we go. Noah. And if we go back through this line, one of these lines goes through Noah, so that's the one we're on right now. There's another one that goes back through here, this way, and that also goes back to the Anunnaki gods. Just slightly different. So Lamech, Methuselah, Enoch, Jared. I don't know how to say all these names. I don't know if that's actually Cain. I'm going to say it might be Cain. The third patriarch. And Adam and Eve. So wait, let's look here. Adam, Eve, Enki and Ninhursag. So, there you have it. Direct lineage from myself all the way back to Enki and Ninhursag. I'm sure I'll be back with some more.